What if your belly fat has nothing to do with willpower at all? What if one hidden hormone is quietly sabotaging every workout you do? Millions of people blame themselves for lacking discipline every single day, but they are fighting a biological process, not a personal weakness. That hormone is cortisol, and it is running your metabolism silently. Cortisol is not evil, it is your built-in survival alarm system. It wakes you up, sharpens focus, and helps you handle real danger. The problem starts when that alarm never fully turns off anymore. Modern stress rarely disappears, it just quietly repeats itself all day. Deadlines, notifications, poor sleep, and constant multitasking keep cortisol elevated. When cortisol stays high for weeks, your body assumes famine is coming, so it starts storing fat, especially around your stomach and organs. This visceral fat is not just stubborn, it is actively dangerous. It surrounds your organs and releases its own inflammatory chemical signals. Those signals raise cortisol even further, creating a brutal feedback loop. That loop is why some people gain belly fat despite eating little. Before learning the fix, you need to understand how this trap forms. Once the mechanism is clear, everything you try next will finally work. Here's where most people accidentally make the problem much worse. They do it within minutes of opening their eyes each morning. Picture a typical morning, phone alarm blaring, heart already racing slightly. You check messages before your feet even touch the floor. That tiny stress spike releases cortisol before you have eaten anything. Then comes coffee on an empty stomach, often several cups quickly. Caffeine alone can raise cortisol, especially when your body is already stressed. Add rushing, traffic, and inbox anxiety, and cortisol climbs even higher. Your body now believes it is under constant, unrelenting threat. That belief tells your metabolism to hold on to fat for safety. This is why some people wake up already feeling anxious and puffy. A calmer, slower morning routine can lower this response significantly. Try natural light exposure within the first 30 minutes of waking. Sunlight helps regulate cortisol's natural daily rhythm more than people realize. Delay caffeine by 60 to 90 minutes after you first wake. This small shift prevents a harsh cortisol spike on an empty stomach. Add slow breathing or a few quiet minutes before checking your phone. These changes sound small, but your nervous system notices every one. Timing your morning matters, but what you eat matters just as much. That is exactly what we need to explore next. Imagine two people eating completely different breakfasts on the same morning. One grabs a pastry and sugary coffee while rushing out the door. The other eats eggs, avocado, and a handful of berries calmly. Both meals contain calories, but they trigger very different hormonal responses. The sugary breakfast spikes blood sugar and insulin almost immediately afterward. That crash a few hours later triggers another cortisol spike from stress. Your body interprets that crash as an emergency requiring more fuel. The protein and fat breakfast digests slowly and steadily instead. It keeps blood sugar calm, which keeps cortisol calm as well. Protein is especially powerful here because it satisfies hunger for hours. It also requires more energy to digest than sugar or refined carbs. Pairing protein with healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, or avocado helps further. This combination slows digestion and prevents dramatic blood sugar swings. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. Timing and quality simply matter more. Whole, minimally processed carbs paired with protein cause a gentler response. Highly processed carbs eaten alone tend to spike stress hormones fastest. Food is powerful, but movement changes this entire equation even further. One specific type of exercise can either help or hurt cortisol dramatically. Most people assume harder workouts always burn more stubborn belly fat. But intense exercise is itself a stress signal your body must process. If cortisol is already high, another intense workout can raise it further. This does not mean exercise is bad, it means the type matters. Strength training, done in moderate doses, actually improves cortisol regulation over time. Building muscle gives your body a stronger buffer against daily stress. Muscle tissue helps regulate blood sugar, which keeps cortisol more stable. 3 or 4 resistance sessions weekly are enough for most people. Focus on squats, presses, rows, and deadlifts that use large muscles. These movements build strength efficiently without overwhelming your stress response. However, daily, hour-long intense cardio sessions can backfire for stressed bodies. Chronic hard cardio without recovery can keep cortisol chronically elevated instead. This surprises people who assumed more sweat always meant more progress. There is a gentler form of movement that works quietly in the background. Let us look at that important habit next. When people want fat loss, their instinct is to push harder immediately. They sprint, join intense classes, or add extra cardio sessions weekly. It feels productive because sweat and exhaustion feel like real effort. But for a stressed, cortisol-heavy body, harder is not always better. One of the most underrated tools is simply walking at a steady pace. Not power walking, just a brisk, comfortable, sustainable walking pace daily. This pace is often called Zone 2, easy but slightly elevated. You should be able to hold a conversation without gasping for air. At this intensity, your body burns fat without triggering a stress response. Walking after meals also helps regulate blood sugar and reduces insulin spikes. Fewer blood sugar spikes mean fewer cortisol spikes throughout your entire day. Walking outdoors adds another benefit through natural light and fresh air exposure. Both of these factors help calm an overactive nervous system further. Walking also produces far less physical stress than intense training sessions. That makes it easier to repeat daily without burning out quickly. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking most days weekly. Morning walks or after-meal walks both fit naturally into most schedules. Even consistent walking and smart eating cannot fix one final missing piece. That piece begins the moment you sacrifice your sleep repeatedly. Imagine eating well, walking daily, and lifting weights consistently every single week. Now imagine undoing much of that progress through poor sleep nightly. It sounds unfair, but sleep is one of cortisol's biggest regulators. During deep sleep, cortisol should drop to its lowest levels naturally. This drop allows your body to repair tissue and regulate hormones properly. When sleep is short or restless, cortisol never gets that chance. It stays elevated into the next day, compounding the entire stress cycle. Chronically high cortisol from poor sleep increases cravings for sugar and fat. It also encourages your body to store more fat around the abdomen. Poor sleep additionally lowers testosterone, making muscle harder to build or keep. Losing muscle weakens your defense against future blood sugar and stress spikes. Fortunately, improving sleep does not require expensive gadgets or complicated routines. Keep a consistent bedtime, even on weekends when schedules feel flexible. Stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before lying down. Dim bright screens in the final hour before your planned bedtime. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet for deeper, more restorative sleep. Think of sleep as the foundation supporting every other healthy habit. Without it, progress slows no matter how disciplined everything else looks.
With it, your body finally gets the chance to release stored fat. There is one final piece that ties every single habit together. By now, you have probably noticed a clear, repeating pattern here. None of these strategies are extreme, dramatic, or difficult to understand. There are no detox teas, miracle pills, or 7-day fat loss promises. Yet these simple habits consistently outperform complicated, restrictive fat loss programs. Why does this happen so reliably across so many different people? Because lasting change is never driven by one single perfect habit. It is driven by how multiple small habits reinforce each other daily. Think of it like building a house on a weak, unstable foundation. A beautiful roof cannot fix cracks hiding underneath the entire structure. Eating more protein will not undo months of chronic sleep deprivation. Walking daily cannot fully erase constant, unmanaged emotional and mental stress. Strength training alone cannot compensate for a nervous system stuck in overdrive. Each habit strengthens the others, creating an environment cortisol can finally trust. This is exactly where most people get stuck without realizing it. They chase the newest workout trend or the latest viral supplement. When results slow down, they assume the entire plan has failed. In reality, they were only changing one small piece of a system. People who succeed long-term stop searching for dramatic, instant shortcuts. They build simple routines they can realistically repeat week after week. Their progress feels slow at first, then becomes remarkably steady over months. That steadiness happens because they are working with their biology, not against it. The real goal is not simply losing weight on a scale. The real goal is building a body that manages stress efficiently, a body that stores less visceral fat and recovers more easily daily. Now let us combine everything into one simple, repeatable daily blueprint. You do not need to overhaul your entire life overnight suddenly. Trying to change everything at once is why most people quit early. Instead, think of these habits as links in one connected chain. Wake up and get natural light before reaching for your phone. Delay caffeine slightly and take a few calm, quiet breathing minutes. Build your first meal around protein, healthy fats, and whole foods. Add a brisk walk sometime during your day, ideally after a meal. Strength train 3 or 4 times weekly using large, compound movements. Keep intense cardio moderate rather than constant, exhausting, and unregulated. Protect your sleep as seriously as you protect your diet daily. None of these habits depend on perfect motivation to succeed long-term. They depend entirely on quiet, boring, unglamorous repetition over time. People who see lasting results rarely follow extreme or dramatic plans. They simply repeat small actions until those actions become fully automatic. Once that happens, fat loss stops feeling like a constant, exhausting battle. It becomes a natural result of a calmer, healthier internal system instead. Before finishing, there are a few common mistakes worth understanding clearly. The first mistake is expecting dramatic results within just a few days. Chronic cortisol elevation usually builds gradually over months or even years. That means healing this system also requires patience and realistic timelines. Early improvements often happen internally before anything appears in a mirror. Sleep may deepen, cravings may fade, and energy may feel steadier first. These are early signs your stress response is finally beginning to calm. The second mistake is relying only on exercise while ignoring rest completely. You cannot out-train chronic stress, poor sleep, or constant emotional pressure. Exercise helps most when paired with genuine recovery and calmer daily habits. The third mistake is chasing perfection instead of consistent, repeated effort.